Let's do Kirk.
Let's do Kirk.
Director of the Hutchinson Center for Commerce and Freedom and the Associate Professor of Economics at America's greatest college, Hillsdale College. Dr. Steele, great to see you. Thank you so much for taking the time. Dr. Steele, you are also the one that did the Understanding Capitalism course, which is wonderful, that people should check out at charlieforhillsdale.com. Dr. Steele, I want to talk to you about Mamdani. Let's just address one of his ideas. Why would freezing the rent and having government-run grocery stores in New York City be a bad economic idea? Dr. Steele.
Well, thank you very much for the kind words about Hillsdale. We're striving to be the best college in the world, and we're going to do that.
Yes.
We may be there now. So this is an excellent question. I think people really need to understand what socialism is and how it works. Really, it doesn't work, and understand the importance of capitalism and the free enterprise system. So you're asking about rent control. Rent control prevents owners of properties from being able to maintain them. It limits the amount of property that will be made available. It stops.
Real quick, I just say from a producer note, I don't know if the African American meets Native American graphic is like helping drive home Mr. Charles Steele's economic points. I think I was just like, what? Well, like there's like 3 puns going on and just about something else. Like, yeah, I don't know. Not to say this isn't a serious show.
Building, and it creates shortages. That's also true of any kind of price controls that hold prices down, attempt to hold prices down. They don't actually do that. They simply create shortages. And then the property will be allocated in some other way. Grocery stores, government grocery stores.
Is that true? I mean, we have versions of rent control. We have a rent control system in New York. Is that true? It just creates. I don't have the economic data in front of me, but it doesn't. The doom and gloom picture that he's talking about doesn't seem to be the case in New York City. I think real estate's doing okay, actually.
I was just going to say the one thing that I will say that people always conveniently forget is that our previous mayor, who's actually dating somebody who's connected to this cinematic universe.
To put a finer point on that, Bill de Blasio is currently dating somebody who was a guest on this show a couple times. Look it up.
Yes.
Hey, oh my God, I'm so happy for Cuba and de Blasio.
Well, I think they're great together, right? Like they both.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. We love to see it. But no, anyway. People always forget that De Blasio froze the rent, however long ago it was, right? And nothing happened. You know, it had actually done wonders for people who lived in rent stabilized apartments. And it's a thing that the mayor can do instantly in New York City. A lot of that is just like reorganizing the rent control board, right, and getting rid of all of the awful people on it who are just, like real estate stooges. So yeah, the economics of it, we could dib and dabble around, and there's somebody who's probably like a little bit smarter than me who can, get into the fine points of that. But yeah, that's horseshit.
At least you're smarter than Dr. Charles Steele. That's
God, I hope so. God, I hope so.
Really got to question your life otherwise. Clearly when what Zohran is advocating, which really gets lost in a lot of this, right? He's not even talking about doing like, citywide, like universal rent control or anything like that, right? He's talking about, rent freezes for already rent stabilized apartments, right? So it's taking an existing system, it's doing something, happened as recently as the de Blasio administration, and the sky did not fall, right? So like that, and also the bigger thing is about like the kind of doom and gloom predictions about rent control is like one, it's an empirical question. You have to look at the evidence. It's like when people say if there are like minimum wage increases, there could be all this unemployment, and oftentimes studies don't really bear it out. And two, like, okay, like let's say there's like less incentive to build new private housing. Other entities besides private developers can build housing. Cities, for example, could choose to build housing. Just a thought, but anyway, we can go back to it.
Yeah. Also, no economic data cited by Mr. Steele, just principle, right? With
Yeah,
nothing,
yeah, yeah.
with nothing to back it. Now he's already he dealt with that. Now he's already on city-run groceries.
Soviet Union. I also lived in communist China for a short time, and I've been in other places where they have government controls on these sorts of things. And if you like shortages and standing in lines and not enough to eat, then government grocery stores are the way to go. That's
Okay.
the quick answer.
So
Sorry.
yeah, so Dr. Steele, let's zero in on
Just really quick. So two points about this, right? So one, I really like that thing about communist China. I don't know how old this guy is. Like, I mean, he doesn't look young. I mean, like his hair is like pretty gray or whatever, but like he doesn't look ancient, right? So is he saying he spent time in China like before the Deng Xiaoping reforms?
Is he born? Is he born there?
He got his BA in 1978. I mean, if that helps.
Okay, so maybe when he was an undergraduate, he spent time in China. Otherwise, like we'd be getting up to the Deng era, right? So like that's just one like, and like which is pretty relevant also because I mean like China now is not particularly known for shortages and bread lines, right? I mean it's like it's got different problems, right? I mean it's like very unequal in lots of ways, but it's like but generally regarded as a pretty thriving economy. So that's one point. But like also when he was like, oh, government run grocery stores like the Soviet Union. I mean, 17 states, I believe, have not only state-run liquor stores, but state monopolies on liquor stores. Right. So
I live in Massachusetts, and it's very important to go up to New Hampshire and get those cheap liquor.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've driven through New Hampshire. There are giant billboards directing people to the state liquor stores because,
oh my God, I used to call Plastow Tijuana.
Which is ironic because when I actually drive to Tijuana now, it's usually I'm just like buying coffee beans or something. But
well, if you're calling it Plastow, New Hampshire,
nothing really decadent. But yeah, I call it Plastow. Yeah. But like also, so yeah, it's like it's not only is it not so horrendously inefficient that it's like it's like reminiscent of the worst parts of Soviet history or whatever, but like yeah, people from all these other states go there to buy cheap liquor. It seems to work great. Seems to generate a lot of revenue for the state. And okay, like maybe you can say that well that's liquor stores, but like it's different if you're selling milk and eggs. I'm not 100% sure why it's fundamentally different if you're selling milk and eggs, but it's like okay, let's look at that. The U.S. government, right? The federal government actually operates hundreds of grocery stores through the Department of Defense commissary system, which I mean I've never heard anybody claim are particularly disastrous that way. So maybe there's some reason the feds can do it and New York City can't. But also he wants to open up like one per borough. I don't understand this alarmism, right? About the like let's say for the sake of argument that it doesn't work out. Right? It's like okay, and right, it's like that it doesn't really seem like this extremely small scale experiment with opening up like low single digits number of stores, right, is gonna lead to is going to lead to disaster. It's also just kind of weirdly incoherent because it's like seems like people like this are always simultaneously claiming that the government-run stores are going to be a disaster because like there's just no way public employees could figure out the profound mysteries of like stocking shelves and and getting in touch with retailers or whatever. But like so they're always claiming that it's going to be a disaster, that they're going to be like empty shells like the Soviet Union, but they're also always claiming that's going to like run all the little bodegas out of business. And I've never understood how both of those could be true.
I mean, I for one welcome like grocery tourists. If you want to come to New York for our grocery, our like $2 cheaper eggs, all drive in from another state. But yeah, I mean, I think there's also such a crazy lie where he's basically implying that every single grocery store in New York City is going to be run by the city, is what he's implied so far. We'll see. We'll let him play it. Let's see if he gets a little bit more specific about it, though.
On the rent control, it's actually so there are tens of thousands of vacant apartments in New York City right now where he is running, and they do not get improved upon, and they do not have significant upgrades because of rent control. The cities with the most rent control in the United States, without exception, have the highest average housing prices. New York City, San Francisco, DC. And they've had the control
I wonder,
for a long
do you think
period
maybe
of time.
the correlation goes the other way?
So speak more about this, the direct connection between rent controls and freezing the rent and housing prices increasing. It actually hurts the very problem that they are seeking to solve.
Sure. Why would anyone want to invest money? Why would you want to build apartments if you're not going to be able to charge an amount that allows you to recover your costs? And so there's the first problem. There's no point in investing in something where there's no possible return on it. And I mean, it's going to be important that we talk a little bit about capitalism.
New York real estate is a famously bad investment these days. It's just, I mean, yeah, I guess it makes sense if you think that he's
hard to find anybody who wants to like lay out their capital in that. Like it's just like, yeah, it's like
right,
they go around.
He's not, yeah, and he's
begging
not
people. It's like, could you please buy some houses in New York? Nobody does it.
He actually personally begged me to buy up all the most expensive properties in the Upper East Side.
You were like, no,
I had to politely decline.
There's too
It's
much.
like, no, sorry, man. I'm just not going to get enough return. I've got the money. That's not the issue.
That's not the issue, no.
By the way, real quick, did you guys see Andrew Cuomo claim that Zohran literally put a family out on the street because he lives in a rent-controlled apartment? That's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. He literally claimed.
No, my understanding
is why he's so tired.
The average family in a hotel, in like a homeless shelter in New York, if they could find a $2,300 a month apartment, they would move into it tomorrow.
Yeah, it's
also very telling that Andrew Cuomo thinks that it's normal to pay $2,300 for a one-bedroom in Astoria.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's funny. I mean, it's this Zohran. Yeah, it's like him and his wife.
Him and his wife. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually not that cheap. It's not like
no, it's not.
No, not at all.
Just like a normal ass apartment. I actually think I live in a $2,100 rent controlled apartment. So if you could find me the people that I personally evicted, I will apologize to them. But yeah,
must be down, Jake.
That's coming up next season of GTAA.
It's going to be the apology tour. It's going to be the Yom Kippur tour where I just atone for my sins.
That's more than my market rate rent that I was paying in Los Angeles. Not a famously cheap city.
Yeah, no, and that's like my rent controlled apartment, which is like 21, is like people being like, you can't get rid of that, which is like, I think I saw some. It's not my original idea, but anyone who knows that Zohran grabbed a decent deal is not angry at him. We're like, good for you, man. Like that's like,
no, not at all. As somebody who lives relatively within that area, like I'm like just like how is my only question.
Yeah, for sure.
Profit and why that's important, why that's a valuable thing. But just as a starting point, if you can't recover your cost, you're not going to invest something. People will not invest in building new housing if they're simply going to take a loss on it. And that's what the rent controls do. It's interesting that after the Vietnam War, after the United States had...
I understand that he's saying that there's a loss because you don't cover it in rent, but wouldn't the vast majority of real estate speculation be about the price that you are able to sell it for? Or is rent really the number one thing that's driving, like whether it's $2,300 or $2,700 a month, whether you're literally fucking selling it for like $15 million. I don't know. It just seems kind of insane. Obviously, there is a level of rent control that exists theoretically that could cause what he's talking about. But I feel like what we have in New York is so ridiculously far away from. They're just like, okay, there's no more profits on buildings. It's just insane.
Yeah, I mean, it's not different in principle than saying it's like, sure, if we set the minimum wage at $1 million, then like, there'd be no more hiring, right? Like,
yeah,
sure, right, but that doesn't really tell you anything about like whether or not any minimum wage level that anybody's actually advocating would have that consequence. I mean, it's the same deal with rent control. It's like, yeah, it's like, sure, you sort of lay out this a priori like theoretical objection that would be like, okay, sure, but like whether or not any given price point like actually has that consequence, that's just like, that's a question you can actually study empirically. Like you don't have to just speculate about it.
Yeah, I mean, my apartment is, $2,000, a little over $2,000. It's not like $3. It's like, I'm not just living in a rent control apartment for $3.
That would be awesome.
Vietnam
Yeah.
and North Vietnam.
Actually, let's fucking do that.
One of the North Vietnamese finance ministers said, we managed to do to housing in Hanoi what the Americans could not do by bombing. We destroyed it, and we destroyed it with rent controls. That's what rent controls do.
And so I know that you're a professor of economics, but it's an irresistible call, the temptation of rent control. Why is it that we're not able to shut ourselves of the political attraction to the allure of rent control?
Completely dispatched because of some anecdote about what one guy said in Vietnam.
Mr. Van Dam just recently met with Elizabeth Warren, and Warren has endorsed him, Senator Warren. And she put it this way. She said that we need affordability. And what's attractive is they say, we'll hold prices down. If we hold prices.
Okay. I actually want to say from one producer to the other producer, it seems like the producer just ran the graphic a little too early. Probably got a message on the private chat saying like, hey, we didn't get to the Warren part yet. So I actually, solidarity, bro. It's not your fault. You just ran a little early.
It's more affordable, right? Well, actually, not so. What you actually do is constrain supply. With less supply, it's less available. Whatever commodity we're talking about, in this case, housing, will be in less supply, and therefore be allocated to a number of across the people attempting to get it via some other method, whether it is waiting in line, bribery, special favors, something like this. But there will also be shortages, inevitably, with a system like that. It's attractive because the politician will say, we're going to give you something for free. We're going to give you something that's cheap. It'll be, we're affordable. It won't be available, but boy, the price will be low. And that low price is what
no one will have it, but it will be a very low price. Yeah. There'll be no abundance, but it won't cost very much.
In an instant, these families lost everything. The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews is on the ground to provide food and shelter and emergency supplies.
What is
an
this?
Emergency gift of $45.
Okay. Yeah,
thousands.
I thought this was you, Jake. I thought this was like your version of trying to get me to do Birthright.
No, this is Charlie Kirk's ad on Charlie Kirk's show.
Yeah, so the international, way back when, I don't know, like 20 years ago, kind of back when, right? I used to when I was hanging out with my friend Les, and drinking late at night, like we used to hate watch the 700 Club, the Pat Robertson thing. And this International Fellowship of Christian and Jews, I remember them like advertising shit on there. And in this case, honestly, well, I guess it's and Jews, so it works. Honestly, the level of chutzpah here is kind of off the charts. That they're like being like, oh, we're like, because they're not talking about like Gaza there, which you might think from images of like bombed out buildings and talk of food distribution. right? What they're fucking talking about is those like Iranian strikes for like a few days, right? Like after like Trump and Netanyahu were like bombing Tehran, right? That's what they're talking about, right? It's like genuinely obscene, right? That this is like, this like, this thing, these images we're showing you, they're like, the like, what, less than a dozen buildings that this happened to in Israel when like Iran was doing their counterstrikes. That like, you're talking about this as if it were the humanitarian crisis of the century, and like literally when like Gaza looks like the surface of Mars right now. But also back from the ad, it is kind of amazing just as a longtime Charlie Kirk watcher, right? Let's say that, right? Like when I did my debate with Charlie Kirk in 2021, like he was making this big effort to like pretend to be a populist, right? Like that was that was kind of the subject of the debate. That's like when we'd originally like sort of challenged him to it. And like the premise, because it's like, he'd like have JD Vance on and they'd like go on and on about how, they weren't like the old like 1980s, Wall Street Journal kinds of Republicans. They were, they were conservative economic populists. And like that was kind of the point of that debate, right? Was me being like, no, you're full of shit, right? Like, you talk this like populist game, but you don't want to do anything that would actually help working people. And it's like, this really feels like he's given up the ghost. It's like he has the Hillsdale guy on to just like do like just straight libertarian dogma about rent control and all of that. You have been watching free public content from Give Them an Argument. To access every single episode of the show, the main show on Monday nights, all of the streams, all of the debate breakdowns, all of the patron-exclusive post-games on Monday nights, all of the patron-exclusive bonus episodes every week, and much, much more, go to patreon.com/Ben Burgis. I cannot resist ending this with, don't be foolish.